All right, let's go ahead and quickly finish up what we didn't get to in class, really the organization of the nervous system. And I start this off just with a quick overview of different types of animals. And the only thing you need to get out of this is that, look, it's a simple animal. Look, it's complex. Look, this one has simple nervous structure, and this one's more complex. Woohoo! So vertebrates are going to have more complex nervous systems that do include a brain and a spinal cord. In ours, we're going to kind of divide the nervous system into two main sections. The central nervous system, that is going to be the brain and the spinal cord. The peripheral nervous system are all of the nerves in the rest of your body, and those are going to either attach to your brain or your spinal cord. So we're going to call this the central here in yellow and the peripheral in orange, or the PNS and CNS. I don't need to have you know what the cranial nerves are, what ganglia are. Again, short, sweet, to the point. The brain and spinal cord have two types of material, gray matter or white matter. It's really just a matter of having nerves either with or without the myelin sheath. Again, the myelin sheath, those are the Schwann cells that wrap around. Let me see if I can quickly find that picture. Right, these guys right here. So anytime you do have a myelin sheath that's wrapped around, that's going to be your white matter, and that nervous tissue is going to conduct really quickly. Gray matter, on the other hand, does not have any myelin sheaths. Okay, we talked at the very beginning about the fact that the nervous system is kind of a series of one-way streets. So now we can kind of put this together with what we know. We've got some kind of stimulus out in the environment. Maybe you've got a nerve that's on your skin, and so you've got touch receptors, whatever those might be. So we're going to have the cell body and the dendrites picking up a signal, sending them to the central nervous system, synapsing with a nerve in the central nervous system, and then another synapse here going out to the motor division. Okay? In other words, signals going to the central nervous system, and we're going to call them afferent neurons or sensory neurons, and efferent neurons are the ones that do the action. You don't need to know this, but I think it's important to kind of understand this a little bit, just in terms of you can start applying it to other things that, whatever. Anyway, for these efferent neurons, for the ones that come from the brain or spinal cord and then go out to deliver a signal, right? You're really going to have two types. The kind that you the ones that you control, for example, those are going to be the motor ones. They control your muscles. So I'm like sitting here dancing around, even though you can't see me in the video, that's all right. But I'm moving my muscles on purpose, right? That's part of the motor system. I also have a whole bunch of nerves that go to muscles that I cannot control. You know that gurgling sound that, you're sitting in class and your stomach's just like dying, right? The reason that it's doing that is you don't have control over the nerves that innervate those muscles. And so your muscles are just kind of doing their own thing. They're being controlled by a part of you that you do not have control over. And part of that is the sympathetic and parasympathetic. So we've referred to the sympathetic a lot, even though you didn't know it, because adrenaline is released during part of the sympathetic nervous system. And so this is your fight or flight response. So the nerves that go to muscles, the nerves that go to like your heart to increase your heart rate, the nerves that go to your stomach to stop sending so much blood to your stomach, the nerves that go to your pupils to make them really big and dilated, all of those are going to be part of the sympathetic division, and then the parasympathetic division over here. In other words, some things you can control, some things you can't. That's all part of the efferent neurons, right? It's all part of the nerves that are coming out from the central nervous system. Okay, you don't need to memorize this. I just want to show you this is a human brain. Okay. What you do need to know is that there's like several different parts, and there's a midbrain. The midbrain is going to be more in control of just keeping homeostasis. Yeah, there we go. When we take a look at the outer cortex of the brain, it can be divided into several different areas, different lobes. So we've got the frontal, the parietal, the occipital, and then the temporal lobes. Again, you don't need to know this. Here's what you do need to know, is that you have different parts of the brain that do different things, okay? For example, In this area here, in the temporal lobe, you have nerves that are responsible for hearing and then interpreting that speech and understanding how language works. So that's kind of on the side. So people that have injuries to their side of their head sometimes lose the ability to speak or to interpret what people are saying. In the very back, in the occipital lobe, you have the part of your brain responsible for sight. So if you hit the back of your head really hard, that can temporarily cause you to not be able to see, or it can permanently cause blindness. Even though your eyes work just fine, the part of your brain that interprets that vision doesn't work anymore. And then the frontal cortex, the prefrontal cortex, is kind of the human. Oh my God, I don't know if you can hear my son. He's screaming downstairs. Okay. Anyway, so the prefrontal cortex is what makes humans more cognizant of their surroundings, I guess you can say. So that decision making and planning, kind of a little sidebar conversation here, but if you take ADHD medicine, that's what it's doing. The medication is stimulating, remember it's a stimulant, this prefrontal cortex, so that things like decision making and planning and control of emotions are a little bit easier to manage, which is why people are like, wait, you're taking a stimulant for ADHD? That doesn't make sense. Well, it does if you understand that here's where it's targeting, and that's the part that's responsible for decision making and those higher order functions. So, okay, I hope that helped. Have a good night. Good luck on your quiz tomorrow.